on the couch today, or if you're on the deck, or if you're, putting your boat in, whatever you're doing remotely, and you're checking us out on Flow, a special welcome to you too. Flow, the partner today for JDV Productions throughout 2023. So some flag-to-flag coverage started this afternoon at 1:30. That will do it for qualifying for the support divisions of the Duel with the Dog. The champions will be out, or the drivers who will be racing next in the feature races will be crowned champions today. Each JDV event is very specific, very unique. It isn't a traditional race, so the winner is referred to as a champion. That has been something delivered a number of times throughout the drivers' meeting. It hits home to those who are in their garages getting their vehicles ready for this, and when they walk away as a person who falls under the checkered flag first, it isn't as a winner, but it is a champion, and that it goes across all the different divisions here today. Are you guys doing modifieds ready to go?
2 minutes.
Okay.
So you can jump alongside if you want.
Okay.
Take that computer there. You want to hand that to me?
Sure.
Is there enough rope on it?
I don't know.
When you guys are ready to transition to us, I'll promise.
Okay. Again, however you're joining us here today, whether it is in person or you're doing it through Flow, you're treated to an amazing show with the NASCAR Whelen Modified Series. And one of the hottest drivers in this division, former champion Ron Silk, was the fastest in final practice here today. But a great local story. It happened here last year, and it's deja vu all over again. Of course, Matt Kimball looking for a better result today than he had last year in the inaugural Duel at the Dog. But look for the number 43 to be fast. He was unofficially top 5 in practice. I believe number 2 on the list, Justin Bonsignor, who won this race last year in a very controversial finish. We're going to see how this shakes out here this afternoon. 200 laps for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. Single car qualifying to come out here momentarily before the field will be set for the 200-lap race. The fields are set for the support divisions today. We'll have the Pure Stock, going 25 laps for their feature race. We have the Legends doing 25 as well. The Pro 4 Modifieds, the New England Dwarf Car Series, the Evolve Pro Trucks, the Nemo Lights, a full slate of racing, and it's just day number 1 of the Duel at the Dog. So tomorrow, the Nastra Modifieds, a ton of great racing tickets still available for this event, jdvproductions.com. If you're here today and you love what you see, you feel it, how about upgrading the experience and going full JDV experience that includes special VIP seating? You get a VIP autograph session and a bunch of other bonuses to go along with it. If you have any questions about this weekend's JDV experience, just see the JDV Productions merch tent right behind the main grandstands. NASCAR Whelen Modified Series drivers set to take time here momentarily with a couple of races under their belt already. They're back home. They're back in New England as NASCAR's oldest division. Here on the quarter mile today, they've raced at Richmond, they've raced at New Smyrna, both outstanding races. And we talk about Ron Silk, but how about Austin Beers picking up his first feature win at Richmond a couple of weeks ago? And the controversial finish further on back. The field is deep, the storylines are thick, the drama is about to ramp up this afternoon. And ladies and gentlemen, we are so glad that you're here, whether it's on Flow or in person. If you are here in person, remember, watch yourself when it comes to the SPF. Dress up today. As the first driver set to take time, and it's a pleasure for me to welcome the official voice of the NASCAR Whelen Modified Series to do these calls. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Koss.
is a driver who he is very active on social media at tracking down sponsors and working to the next level. He had an opportunity earlier this year to test an ARCA car at the Daytona International Speedway ahead of Speed Weeks, an ARCA competition. Still working towards getting an ARCA ride, still working towards getting a Craftsman Truck Series ride as well, but he is certainly digging, and it's good to see him back in a modified here today.
On the racetrack now, it's Justin Brown in car number 46. And to your point, Joe, being back here on the quarter mile really can offer an opportunity for a Cinderella story. Or, for example, Matt Kimball, I don't think it's a Cinderella story anymore. I mean, qualified second last year, second fastest in practice today. But a driver who you wouldn't necessarily see up front on some of the larger tracks really starting to shine here on the bull ring.
Yeah, I agree. And, you got guys like Justin Brown, who's on track right now, somebody who's used to short racetracks like this. The next stop on tour is the Riverhead Raceway. He's got a tremendous amount of experience there. You got to look at drivers like that as well to run here at a pretty good run at Monadnock Speedway. Justin Brown, though, going to come across the line here in second. It'll be a 13.172 will be the time of record for him. So what's different is, we started off at larger tracks, High Speed, High Banks, New Smyrna Speedway. Then we go down to the Richmond Raceway, 3/4 mile D-shaped oval. Now to the quarter-mile bull ring, 16 and 18 degrees of banking in the turns. It's a very different way you approach this race here this weekend.
Jacob Perry continues to pace the field, 13.038. Can this driver take him down? It's Ken Hege in car number 18. Nice and smooth through 3 and 4. Comes down to complete lap number 1.
Ken Hege, another one of the Long Island, New York drivers, which is a common thing that we say here. The Modified Tour, Buoy One Seafood, the sponsorship on this number 18 car to see if he can move a little bit better than his second place effort on lap number 1. And he's going to stick with that time, a 13.114 for Ken Hege as the 5th car to go out and take time here today.
Even though we're early in qualifying, seeing Jacob Perry at the top of the leaderboard, another Cinderella story potential, the Jack Bateman race car, certainly pacing or outpacing some other race car drivers. Still fast time with car number 1 on the racetrack. This is Corey Plummer.
Here's a driver that is no stranger to the fans here at Monadnock Speedway. Corey Plummer has been around this racetrack and the New Hampshire tracks for many, many years, and a great opportunity for him to get this race on his schedule. He wanted to run on the Whelen Modified Tour, and today now he makes his debut in this series, and he is going green here across the line. He said, you know what, I've done a lot of time trial races here at this racetrack. I know how to run the line here, and I think even though I don't have a Whelen Modified Tour start, I think all of that experience is going to help me here today.
And he tried to at least run down in the speed bumps coming to the green. You'll notice that he didn't do it the next time around. So a live and learn experience for Corey Plummer, and just goes right after it in turn number 3 again. Comes down, takes the checkered flag. It's going to be good for 4th.
13.203, so a little less than 2/10 off the pace of Jacob Perry in the number 47, who leads the way. The other difference of this race here today is that it's the first time this season that there's no tires that the teams can change on pit road during the race. So 200 laps, no change tires back in the pits, which means the tires that they qualify on here now are the tires that they are going to race on. You've got to take care of your equipment right now because the cars will go into impound and be ready to race for our 5 o'clock green flag tonight. Andrew Kraus on track from Homedale, New Jersey in the number 24 machine. Green flag is out as he guides that car through turns 1 and 2 and onto the back straightaway.
And look at that beautiful chrome off of turn number 4 coming down to complete lap number 1. It's a fast one, 13.119. It's good for 3rd right now.
Single car on track. It's really interesting to hear the drivers as they feather the throttle coming up off the turn, especially off turn number 4. Andrew Kraus goes to the top. The first car under 13 seconds. It's a 12.969 for Andrew Kraus. He now sets the standard. Now, there was a little bit of drama, and what would short track racing be without drama? And that drama centered around this driver, the number 34 of J.B. Fortin, who matched a career best finish the last race on tour at the Richmond Raceway in Virginia over a month ago. He ran hard with both Max McLaughlin and Justin Bonsignor, and they had a pretty intense conversation on pit road after the event. But nonetheless, J.B. Fortin drove with fresher tires to the front of the field and had a really good run that day in Richmond.
J.B. was also a part of the controversial finish last year in the duel with the dog as well, and he peels it off of turn number 4. White flag out, 1 to go. Is he under 13? No, just shy of it at 13.067. That's good for 3rd spot.
You can hear JB's car just a little bit more aggressive than some of the other here as he comes off the turn, hits sideways off turn number 4, and look at that lap time. Goes to the top at 12.919 for JB Fortin. He leads the way, and you know, there's times when you're at a racetrack where you can just hear that a car is going to be a little bit faster. It sounds fast, it looks fast, and that was one of those laps for JB Fortin to go to the top of the 8 cars so far.
And what a story for Woody Pitkat in car number 6, taking time in that storied ride as they he works his way off of turn number 2.
Bigger story might be his car owner, Stan Mertz, who's brand new to the Whelen Modified Tour. But this combination won a NASCAR championship at the Thompson Speedway back in 2015 in the SK Sunoco Modified Division at Thompson. Woody Pitkat did not run on the Tour last year, but by far is one of the most popular drivers in modified racing. It's good to have him back with us here today.
And this just may be a great story to unfold this afternoon as Pitkat down the back straight away. 12.950. Number 2 on the list. Can he go provisional pole?
He'll be 3rd quick, only missed it by 0.02 of a second and 12.921, and 19 something's not going to get it done here today, I can tell you that. 12.921 for Woody Pitkat's going to put him 2nd overall. Pretty solid lap.
With his car owner now becoming a car owner on the Whelen Modified Tour, that is it was a career achievement for that team. So it's really kind of cool to see that happen.
It was, yeah. Stan Mertz, he wrote on the way up here on social media, he said, you know what, this is just surreal that today I am becoming a Whelen Modified Tour car owner. So pretty neat there. There's a combination here, and Tyler Ripkema, this is a father-son team in this number 32 car. They are full-time this season, and this 32 car is fun to watch.
Ripkema pulls it off of turn number 4. Green flag is out, sails it right into turn number 1, and so quick on the throttle. You mentioned drivers who just look quick. This is certainly one of them. Ripkema, sideways off the corner.
Nice job feathering the throttle to rope it back in. Sideways, he's still number 1. 12.897. Can Ripkema be a little bit smoother this time through turns 3 and 4 and see if he can lower that lap time? Sideways again, nearly spinning out up against the outside wall, but look at that. Tyler Ripkema, a 12.734. That is one way to make qualifying exciting. Race fans, how about Tyler Ripkema laying it sideways, getting that right rear hanging out, nearly collecting the outside wall, but puts it on the provisional pole to this point in qualifying.
The duel at the dog will start 30 cars today in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Series to find out who will become champion in one of the most iconic cars paint schemes in NASCAR history. Takes it off of turn number 4.
We celebrate 75 years of NASCAR here in the 2023 season. Tim Conley driving what was old Bob Garbarino's V4, the Mystic Missile that Conley has now purchased. Fitting that he has kept the car looking identical to what it looked like the last time it raced in the series. And Conley comes across the line with a 13.225, 9th quick overall in lap 1. But man, everybody that walked by this car in the paddock area earlier today said how special it is to see the V4 back in a Whelen Modified Tour pit area and with the same color and livery that has been known as part of the history throughout this storied Modified Tour series. And it is so cool to see that car back in the pits again today.
There are just some things that need to happen, and that's one of them. The Mystic Missile in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Series, and embracing the history as well. Speaking of history, Old Blue in number 3 off of turn number 4 this week, driven by Jake Johnson.
Yeah, we talk about drivers that are fast on the stopwatch, but how about when they're coming up to speed? You watch Jake Johnson did a really nice job at putting some heat into the right front tire as he came through turns 3 and 4, kicked the car sideways, let it ride on that right front tire so it's got some stick as it goes into the corner, and that's one of the things that makes Jake Johnson good. He's not a guy that really had a lot of modified experience before last season, but he's really adapted to these race cars very, very well, and lap number 1 is going to put him 2nd with a 12.840. Let's see if he's got a little bit more in the tank here, Andy, as he comes to the checkers.
Real smart race car driver, year number 2 in this type of modified, takes the checkered flag. Does he go to the top? He just misses it.
Very, very narrowest of margins keeps Tyler Ripkema up top. But Jake Johnson, another solid run. You know, qualifying is going to be very important here today. You look back, the last 8 races have won from the first or second position on track. And so you've got to lay down a very efficient qualifying lap and be able to control the pace of the race. And Kyle Ebersol will be the next driver to see if he can put his car on the front row.
Nice job by Ebersol. Very smooth off of turn number 2, lining up for his first lap. Almost rolls completely out of the throttle, but mashes the gas back into turn 1.
I think he was trying to make that straightaway a little bit longer so he'd have more speed going down into turn 1. A little stutter step, though, for him off turn number 2. Pretty smooth on this end, but he's got a feather. You can hear him lift as he came off turn 4. That's probably not going to give him the lap speed he wants. And did not yet register on our scoring. There it is, 9th overall.
Yeah, just inside the top 10. We're nearly halfway through NASCAR Whelen Modified Series qualifying in lap number 2. It's a sub 13 seconds, so a nice pickup by Ebersol at 12.986. That's good for 6th.
So all the spotters are up on the roof saying, hey, you know what, the guys that are going sideways through turns 3 and 4 and pitching that car a little bit to the right, they are laying down quick laps. See what you got to do to get that car so you can really put it to the throttle coming off turn 4. We'll see if more drivers continue to try to do that as the session goes on.
Tommy Catalano in car number 54 takes a nice high line into turn number 3. Smooth off of 4, takes the green flag, and he's under the clock.
Tommy Catalano and the family team trying to rebound from mechanical issues at Richmond last time out. Started off very strong at New Smyrna Speedway, had a very quick race car there, hoping that it translates here to the short track in Monadnock, as he registers a time across the line, good enough for 7th overall with a 12.992 for Tommy Catalano.
Needs to pick up 0.2 of a second, a little bit more than that. Checkered flag out, and he's not going to do it. 12.939, which puts him inside the top 5 in 5th for Catalano.
Well, here's a driver that finally got that first win. I say finally, he's only been at it for a little more than a year and a half, but it was expected with the way Austin Beers has been driving in the last season as a rookie on the Whelen Modified Tour. Now in his full sophomore season, winner at Richmond Raceway. He won practice, he won the pole, he won the race, he dominated to get that first victory.
Coming off a top 10 run last year in the duel at the Dog, too. Beers, who was really strong at New Smyrna, as Joe mentioned, dominated, just stamped it in Richmond, trying to ride that momentum into turn number 3 in qualifying. Lap number 1 set to go down.
Comes in with a tremendous amount of confidence, goes 12.953, good enough for 6th on lap number 1. Let's see if he can pick it up here a little bit. And we know confidence when you're driving one of these race cars goes a very, very long way. As a checkered flag comes out, a little bit quicker at 12.799, puts Austin Beers in 3rd.
The multi-generation driver makes his way back to the pit area, and you kind of get the feeling that there's a bit of a star in the making, too. When someone starts to get some momentum, clicks off that first big win. It's a popular win, whether it's in person or on social media, and continues to run strong. Look for the 64 to be strong today. Car 92 on the racetrack.
And this is Anthony Nocella, who picked up his first win on one of the biggest stages in modified racing, and that's at New Hampshire Motor Speedway last July. Nocella and the family, Nocella Paving business, that backed this team. He's no stranger to running this racetrack in a variety of different race cars. Nocella, every race he enters into in modified racing, you always got to look at that number 92 because they normally come very, very prepared, and they're always on top of their game.
I wonder how Nocella feels about the speed bumps in turns 3 and 4. You mentioned a driver who has a lot of experience here, so he's accustomed to riding a certain way. What if all of a sudden that line was taken away from him and he had to kind of relearn the racetrack a little bit?
Yeah, he'll go 4th, and I think that's something, Andy, that we're going to see a lot as the night goes on. This race will be a little bit different for drivers that have a lot of experience here. Now, the Whelen Modified Tour drivers that only come in once, twice a year, for them, they'll make an adjustment, but it's not like they've got thousands and thousands of laps around this racetrack. So we'll see how that balances out. But just to put a bow tie, Anthony Nocella, 4th overall.
Next on the racetrack, it is car number 07. Patrick Emmerling off of turn number 4 takes the green.
Emmerling is a co-owner of a NASCAR Xfinity Series team along with Joey Gase, and he runs Emmerling Gase Motorsports when he's not running the Xfinity car. Now, they've got an off weekend for NASCAR Xfinity this weekend. They're not running in Kansas. That allowed Patrick Emmerling to get back behind the wheel of his Whelen Modified Tour car to be with us here today.
Out to play on a Saturday afternoon, a beautiful one at that. It's 71 degrees. Car number 07 off of turn number 4 takes the checkered.
And he'll slot into the 5th position overall, a 12.88 for Patrick Emmerling. Trip 8s. I think you want trip 7s, don't you?
Yeah.
That pays out a little bit better.
Yes,
and it would today, too.
Car number 22 is on the racetrack for Kyle Bonsignor. On the warm-up lap, driver, I believe, ran in the top 10 the majority of the duel with the dog last year, but I believe finished just outside the top 10, looking to better that here this year. Green flag is in the air. He's under the clock.
He's looking for his first top 10 finish of the season. Just missed it at Richmond, was 11th, and just looking at that top 10, trying to see if he can get that momentum going. Cam McDermott is the crew chief behind the scenes making it all happen, and Cam put a pretty good setup in it, a 12.781. That's a very fast first lap for Kyle Bonsignor.
All eyes on the number 22, checkered flag out. Will this be fast time? Actually a little bit slower, but good for 3rd overall for Kyle Bonsignor in car number 22 and 51 on the racetrack now.
And this is Justin Bonsignor, his cousin, so they are cousins. That's a question we get frequently. Justin Bonsignor, the winningest driver in Whelen Modified Tour competition at this racetrack. He's got 2 consecutive wins, 2020 and 2022. We didn't race here in 2021, but he's got 4 overall. He's got to be a favorite coming in.
And you talk about stars in the making, too. I mean, he is starting to just pad those stats. 3-time champion, winningest driver here at this racetrack, too. And car 51, a threat wherever he goes. White flag out, 1 to go.
And he goes to the top, 12.728. Now, we've seen the opening lap be the faster of the 2 laps here. It's a trend that's developing. Will that be the case for Justin Bonsignor as he comes to the checker?
No, 12.703, top of the board for Justin Bonsignor. Tyler Ripkema still in second, 3/100ths of a second off the pole. Jake Johnson, car number 3 is third. Kyle Bonsignor in 4th, and Austin Pierce currently rounds out the top 5. But to Joe's point, as the cars continue to come out, they're the drivers who are faster in practice. So more drama, more of a chance for someone to be knocked off the point. And if someone's going to do it, might be car number 60.
Yeah, big money. Matt Hirschman got a welcome from the crowd here at Monadnock Speedway. Some in favor, some maybe less so. He has won so many modified races over the past couple of years. Last year, an outstanding year for him. He's already back on top of his game this year. Matt Hirschman, big money Matt, back with his PD Motorsports number 60 for this race. What can he do?
12.787, and if there's a track that Matt might feel owes him one, or a race that owes him one, it could be this one after last year's finish. Checkered flag out, and 12.758, not enough to take the point. It's good for 3rd.
Matt Hirschman puts it in the 3rd spot overall in car number 60, and he will have to get off the racetrack as Craig Lutz in the 82 getting up to speed here for the Danny Watts-owned modified.
Lutz makes his way off of turn number 2. Very, very low, almost down into the speed bumps. Lutz comes up to speed, full song. Green flag is out, and he is under the clock.
He's got a lot of front brake in that race car. You see it nearly lock up the left front when he went into turn 3 the last time by. See how hard he gets into it again this time. Again, hard on the binders with the front. Steps it out sideways. The white flag is out, and a 12.837 for Craig Lutz.
Do you think we'll see drivers with brake problems over the course of 200 laps trying to become a champion today?
You know, I don't think you will, mainly because, you know, it's 50 miles. 200 laps, 50 miles. I mean, you're going to be on the binders pretty hard, but at the same point in time, they know that. It's a short track race. Everybody's got new brakes coming in. Now, if we tried this for 400 laps, maybe ask me that question then. But I think these drivers have a mindset that you got to get to the end first, and I think that'll certainly allow their equipment to stay under them. Craig Lutz, by the way, 7th overall, 12.837 is the fastest time for him.
Give it up for car number 25. Another great local story, and a driver who had some great success across the New Hampshire tracks last year in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour as he took the step up to the Tour and had some great results. This is Brian Roby off of turn number 4.
If you're a Monadnock Speedway regular, or maybe Claremont Speedway, whatever the case may be, you know this driver and you know how good he is here in the New Hampshire short tracks. It's been a pleasure to have him with us on the Whelen Modified Tour for a handful of races. Brian Roby trying to step up to see what he can do and play on the Touring Series level. 12th on that lap, and boy, his car out of shape off turn number 2. You hear him lifting midway down the back straightaway.
And a high entry into turn number 3. He kept it on the throttle hard through 3 and 4. Decent run for him, just outside the top 10. He'll go 12th on the grid. Car number 25 for Brian Roby.
Here's Eric Goodale and the Riverhead Building Supply, number 58. Eric's off to a strong start this season. He was very quick at New Smyrna, got into some problems in the late going there, had a top 10 in Richmond. This car has been up front. A whole new Eric Goodale that we have seen here this year.
This is such an important race for this division as, we're back here in New England, back on the short tracks, going to Riverhead right after this one. The first 2 races are important, too, as far as counting towards the championship, but you can really get some momentum if you start building today.
Top 10 so far on lap 1. Listen to the sound of the engine as it pours on the steam down the back straightaway into 3 for Eric Goodale. Very, very smooth, a little bit lower than some of the other drivers, and it's a quick lap time. Good enough for 4th. 12.765 for Eric Goodale. Pretty solid top 5 qualifying run, and we've only got a handful of cars left to go out and take time here today. Goodale was a 24th car to take time. We've got 6 left to set the Mayhew Tools pole.
Car number 19 on the racetrack.
Anthony Sesley is the driver here out of New Jersey. Stephen Kopchik, the crew chief, prepares the race car.
Sesley makes his way through turns number 1 and 2, drifts up the racetrack just a little bit. Nice head of steam into turn number 3, quick on the brakes, and here to complete lap number 1.
12.955 for Anthony Sesley. Is going to be 15th overall. He's got quite a bit of experience racing in the Kluth Motorsports Modified here. And so this is a racetrack that he has got a lot of races under his belt. 12.895, lap number 2. We'll pick him up 4 spots. He'll slot in 11th.
Final 5, and look ahead to the start of this race. 30 cars on a quarter mile. Doing business to become a champion. This is going to be wild. Sammy Ramo in car number 06 on the racetrack.
Sammy Ramo, part-time runner on the tour, no stranger to New Hampshire, and this kid is certainly somebody you can't take your eye off when it comes to the win here tonight. Top 5 in practice earlier today. He's got a tremendous amount of talent.
And coming off a great run last year, too, where he ran in the top 10 for the majority of the race. I believe he even pulled off a top 5, and he's right down in the speed bumps.
And that's just qualifying, 18th on lap 1. You know, you might be right, though, Andy, that they are going to test the waters on that. You can see how much rubber is on those speed bumps already. When it's time for the win, we'll put the whole car on it through turn 4.
He did it more than anybody. And, I mean, decent results, too. He'll be up inside the top 10. Good for 10th for car number 06, Sammy Ramo.
All right, so a handful of cars still left to go. These are the fastest cars in the one and only practice we had earlier today. And to lead off the final 4, how about John McKennedy and the number 79 from Chelmsford, Massachusetts, the reigning Whelen Modified Tour champion.
He is the reigning champion and is after wins this year. They said the one thing they really needed to check off in 2023, picking up some of those trophies and unique trophies like the Duel at the Dog trophy if you're the champion of today's event.
Check it out on NASCAR Roots. We've got a picture of that where you can see the Bulldog Duel at the Dog trophy inspired. It's a cool trophy, and you know, these guys, they get up after that. When they see these different trophies that they have a chance to win throughout the season, that gives them a little more extra motivation to be successful.
McKennedy fast in whatever he runs, and here he is in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Series with 12.971 on lap number 1. Quick lap. 79 pulls it off at turn number 4.
What can he do here? As the checkered flag comes out, McKennedy will move into 10th, a 12.865. Just to remind you, here's a quick time. Justin Bonsignor on the provisional Mayhew Tools pole with a 12.703. So Bonsignor a 12.703 as Doug Kobe comes on track.
You mentioned Mayhew Tools, car number 7, New York, sponsored by that, the Tommy Baldwin ride. Third in practice this afternoon, and always a tough competitor. Here comes Kobe.
Green flag is out. Kobe darts into turn number 1. Let's see what he can do here on this opening lap. Kobe, one of the former winners at this racetrack in the field today. He's got one victory to his credit, the 12.841. Good enough for 9th.
Keep an eye on this car, the black 7 New York, into turn number 3, going for a pole run, pulls it off a 4, tires in the speed bumps. It's not going to be enough, but a huge pickup.
35 thousandths of a second off the time laid down by Justin Bonsignor. He's going to be good enough for 3rd for Doug Kobe. Let's run it down the top 5 quickly. Justin Bonsignor and Tyler Ripkema 1-2. Doug Kobe 3, Matt Hirschman 4, Eric Goodale 5 with 2 cars left.
Ladies and gentlemen, in turn number 4, number 2 in practice, outside pole sitter last year, and local hero Matt Kimball off of turn number 2.
This could be a pole-winning run for Kimball. Knows this racetrack like the back of his hand. He's got this number 43 tuned up tight here today at Monadnock. Into turn number 1. Smooth and steady off turn 2 to the backstretch.
Watch what he does with the tires in turns 3 and 4. Puts it down nearly half the race car there as he pulls it off of turn 4.
First lap, a 12.910, 15th overall. And he loops it off turn number 2. Does he catch the wall? Barely does on the left front.
And leaves his mark on the racetrack. Unfortunately, it has to do with the retaining wall.
Left rear tire down on the 43 of Matt Kimball, and that is why it went around on him. Left rear tire flat on the 43. And boy, it just took off. What a shame for that team. You can see the scuff mark on the wall beneath the Credit One and Lundgreen billboard there along the back straightaway. As our safety services team will go out there and take a look. But, man, Matt Kimball, a 12.910, left rear tire down, and that sends him spinning off turn number 2. Tough break for this team because that is going to mean that he's not going to get the qualifying result he wanted. We're getting a look at the replay here on race control. No, you can't see it, but just through turn 2, midway through the middle of turns 1 and 2, the left rear tire just came off and just about came off the rim. And the contact to the left front was pretty significant, but not as bad as I initially thought when he hit the wall off turn 2.
Yeah, you can see it just really pull off on replay midway through the corner. And I just have to ask, does that have anything to do with how he ran the speed bumps earlier? Not every driver has made that move, and I'm wondering if that added to his situation, which unfolded in the corner.
You know, Andy, it's hard to speculate, but, you know, the thought went through my mind as well because I saw him put a lot of left rear tire on that. I don't know if that's what cut the tire down. I mean, it could be any number of things. We know that they run lower air pressure when they go out for qualifying because when you get to the race, you want to make sure that that air pressure has time to grow up. And when you get under the green flag, then you've got that pressure where you want it for the long run. So, I mean, it could be a case of just a little bit of lower air pressure than what they should have had in the tire, or it could have very well been just knocking it just right on those speed bumps off turn number 4. But it's most likely one of those two things that caught Matt Kimball here in this qualifying lap.
And if that's the time that stands for Kimball, which it looks like it will be, the outside pole sitter from last year starts deep in the field, currently scored in 15th, and track position so crucial to a successful day here at Monadnock in the duel at the Dog, where you mentioned in the last, 8 races, they'd come from the top 2 positions.
Yeah, it's really important to qualify up front here today. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that you don't want to get stuck a lap down because then it's really hard to make it up here, certainly with a race that you're not doing change tires. Now, they can go and pit. They can make adjustments. They just can't put new tires on it throughout the race. You know, one thing that's really important is that this race starts the Whelen Granite State Short Track Cup here today, a 3-race series that's part of the JDV Productions portfolio of races. We'll kick it off here today, then we'll bring it over to Lee USA Speedway on Memorial Day weekend, and then wrap things up later on in the summer as the racing season goes on. It's an outstanding event that awards an extra $15,000 to the series. That's really just a points program over the course course of 3 short track races here in New Hampshire.
And it really helps elevate someone or give them incentive to join the Whelen Modified Tour if they are not able to do it on a full-time basis. This is a chance for them to be a champion within the championship series to, run the 3 races. I believe Matt Hirschman was our champion last year, and that was one of the reasons why he actually joined up and ran so many events with JDV last year, was just the separate point series. As all eyes are on car number 16. Lightning fast all season, fastest in practice. Car number 16 off of turn number 2. This is Ron Silk.
Let's see what Ron Silk can do. Is it good enough to knock Justin Bonsignor off the Mayhew Tools pole? Green flag comes out this time by for Ronnie Silk.
Silk, who has been aggressive all season long, pulling moves. The former champion drives it into turn number 3, all the way on the speed bumps. The entire car was down there, and it's 12.734 on lap 1.
Can he get a little bit quicker? Ronnie Silk going for the pole, steps it out sideways off turn number 4. Checkered flag is out, and no. A 12.800, good enough for second overall. He was tied with Tyler Ripkema, and the speed will put him into the second spot overall. But Justin Bonsignor wins the Dominator Mayhew Tools pole award here today with a time of 12.703. Let's take a look at the qualifying results. Justin Bonsignor on the pole, Ronnie Silk second. Tyler Ripkema will go third, fourth for Doug Kobe, and fifth for Matt Hirschman. Eric Goodale was 6th, Jake Johnson 7th, Kyle Bonsignor 8th, 9th was Austin Beers in the top 10, rounding out by Craig Lutz. Anthony Nocella 11th, 12th for John McKennedy, Sam Ramu was 13th, Patrick Emmerling 14th, Anthony Cecily, and Matt Kimball was 16th, JB 14 was 17th, 18th for Woody Pitcat, 19th for Brian Roby, and 20th for Tommy Catalano. Outside the top 20, 21st, Andrew Kraus, 22nd, Kyle Ebersol, Jacob Perry, 23rd, Ken Hagee, 24th, 25th was Justin Brown, Corey Plummer, 26th, Tim Conley, 27th, 28th was Gary McDonald, and Melissa Fifield, the 29th and last car to take time here today, qualified 29th. Just want to remind you, coming up in about 20 minutes or so, back off turn number 4, the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour autograph session will be taking place. We invite you to come on down, grab some merchandise, and meet your favorite driver. We're going to have a special Q&A session with the most recent winner on the tour, and that's Austin Beers, driver of the number 64 car. We'll hear from some of the drivers locally down there behind the grandstand. So Pete, Andy, come on down, and hopefully you'll get a chance to meet your favorite drivers, get some autographs, and maybe even take some pictures that you can share with all your friends who weren't as smart as you to come out to the racetrack here today.
All right, Joe.
Hey, Ryan.
Thank you very much, Joe. As we get ready for our pre-race ceremonies down on the track.
The Whelen Modified Tour begins the heart of the season today in Winchester, New Hampshire, at a track commonly known as Mad Dog, the Monadnock Speedway, featuring high banks of short track action. Fans are pouring in to watch the championship point battle, including the man at the top, Ronnie Silk, who is tied alongside Austin Beers, fresh off his first win in Richmond. Rejoining the tour today is Woody Pitcat after a year away. He brings a brand new car owner and Stan Mertz to the Whelen Modified Tour. But Justin Bonsignor, he's fast. He's on the pole, and he's going for his third consecutive win here in Monadnock. Big money Matt Hirschman is here. He wants the Whelen Granite State Short Track Cup. It's race 1 of 3 for that extra bonus money. It's all taking place today. The Duel of the Dog 200 at Monadnock Speedway. And the Whelen Modified Tour cars gridded along the front straightaway here at Monadnock Speedway. We welcome you into this quarter-mile bull ring racetrack that is staged for the third race of the 2023 season. I'm Joe Koss alongside Andy Austin for the call of tonight's action. Let's get into the starting lineup for today's event. Starting the 30th position, it's car number 4 from Endicott, New York, the Conley Company's LLC machine for Tim Conley. Starting 29th in car number 1 from Swansea, New Hampshire, the Apex Racing Jeans Auto Service machine, it's Corey Plummer. Starting 28th, the Riverhead Building Supply, number 46, from Manorville, New York, Justin Brown. The Whelen Modified Tour most popular driver driving the Pine Knoll Auto Sales machine from Wakefield, New Hampshire, the 01 is Melissa Fifield. Starting 26th in car number 26, it's Gary McDonald from Ronkonkoma, New York, the Lakeland Landscape TRC electric car. Next car on the grid, car number 36. He'll start 25th today from Riverhead, New York, the Sapienza Enterprise Eastport Feeds car. It's Dave Sapienza. Starting 24th from Calverton, New York, the Bowie One Seafood and Restaurant, number 18, Ken Hagee. Rolling from 23rd, the Jax Competition Engine, Rick Rack, number 47 from Stonington, Connecticut, Jacob Perry. From Hummelstown, Pennsylvania, in the number 5 machine, he'll start 22nd, the Ebersol Excavating Incorporated 5 for Kyle Ebersol. Starting 21st, the Supreme Manufacturing car from Holmdel, New Jersey, in car 24, Andrew Kraus. The 20th starter is the FX Caprara Catalano Motorsports, number 54 from Ontario, New York, Tommy Catalano. He is a former New Hampshire state champion under the NASCAR banner from Sunapee, New Hampshire. The Maurice Enterprises, number 25, Brian Roby. He returns to the Whelen Modified Tour for the first time in over a year, driving for Stan Mertz. He drives car number 6 from Stafford, Connecticut, the Koopman Lumber entry. It is Woody Pitkat. Coming up off a runner-up finish in Richmond last time out from Holtzville, New York, driving car number 34. The A&R Materials John's Fuel Oil Rapid Recovery Modified for J.B. Fortin. One of the local favorites in the field here today from Bennington, New Hampshire, starts 16th. The J&M Towing, Padlock Wealth Management, Post and Beam, number 43, Matt Kimball. Rolling off the grid in the 15th position, the Wanick Construction Incorporated, number 19, from New Jersey, Anthony Sesley. Starting 14th, he drives a Bone Steel Automotive 07 from Orchard Park, New York, Patrick Emmerling. Starting 13th, the Quality Fleet Services Dennison Lubricants 06 from Westminster, Mass, Sammy Ramu. Rolling from 12th tonight, he is the reigning NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour champion, the Middlesex Interiors, number 79 from Chelmsford, Mass, John McKennedy. Starting 11th, no stranger to this racetrack, driving the Nocella Paving, K&D Associates, Air Gas, number 92 from Woburn, Mass, Anthony Nocella. And now for the top 10 in our starting lineup today. From Miller Place, New York, the Horton Avenue Materials, number 82, Craig Lutz. Starting 9th, he won his first career Whelen Modified Tour race last time out in Richmond. It's the Dell Electric, Lumiere Electric, Andrew James Interior, number 64 from Northampton, Pennsylvania, Austin Beers. Starting 8th, driving the Chalou Performance, MTT Munzauto, number 22 from Bayshore, New York, Kyle Bonsignor. The next driver drives car number 3, starting 7th from Rehoboth, Mass, the Propane Plus, Lynn's Propane Trucks Modified, Jake Johnson. Starting 6th tonight, the GAF Roofing Riverhead Building Supply, number 58 from Riverhead, New York, Eric Goodale. He is a defending champion of the Whelen Granite State Short Track Cup, driving the PD Motorsports number 60 from Northampton, Pennsylvania, starting 5th, Matt Hirschman. Rolling off the grid in the 4th position, he won this race back in 2015, driving the Mayhew Tools, number 7 New York from Milford, Connecticut. Please welcome Doug Hobie. Starting 3rd in the Northeast Drilling, Musco Lighting number 32. He hails from Owego, New York, Tyler Ripkema. And on the outside of the front row, he is a former Whelen Modified Tour champion and the current Whelen Modified Tour Championship point leader, the Blue Mountain Machine and future homes number 16 from Norwalk, Connecticut, Ronnie Silk. And on the pole, going for his 3rd consecutive win here at Monadnock Speedway, driving the Phoenix Communications Incorporated number 51 from Holtzville, New York, please welcome Justin Bonsignor. Based on the success of the race the last time out at the Richmond Raceway, NASCAR gave a couple of contingency awards to some of the drivers on hand. Among them was the Sunoco Rookie of the Race Award, handed to Brian Narducci, who was driving the number 3 car that Jake Johnson drives today. Austin Beers, by virtue of his win, he also picked up the Whelen Engineering Winner of the Race Award, along with the Hoosier Tire Lap Meter Award. The Hoosier Tire Hard Charger Award went to Max McLaughlin, while Bobby Labonte got the Most Improved Award from Hoosier. The Phil Kerr's mid-race leader, presented by Josh Deans, went to Ron Silk, and today's Mayhew Tools pole went to Justin Bonsignor. Earlier today, we had an opportunity to catch up with a Mayhew Tools pole winner. That was Justin Bonsignor.
So we worked really hard in practice. Last year, in that race, and he just had a little more forward drive. So it's something we've been working on since that day. It helped us at Riverhead last year, and I think we got a better package today. Kind of surprised we got the pole. We were kind of mid-pack there in practice, but just put up a good lap there and held those guys off. So hoping for a good night. It'll be a nice early night. It'll be nice and warm, similar conditions to how we practice. So I think we got a good balance. We just got to make sure we keep the tires on it and don't run anybody else's pace. Just run the pace that we're comfortable running to make sure we're there at the end of the race.
Thanks, Justin.
Thank you.
And Justin Bonsignor will look to control the pace from the front row here today. You look over the past handful of races here at Monadnock Speedway. The drivers who have started first or second have tended to be the drivers who have won in the last 7 races here at this racetrack. So starting on the front row between Justin Bonsignor and Ronnie Silk, they've got certainly the stats on their side coming into today's race. Now, we had qualifying earlier today, and Matt Kimball, the number 43 car, he was one of the drivers that went out and laid down a pretty quick opening lap, but he got into trouble when it came to lap number 2. And Kimball will start in that 16th position. They had a left rear tire that went down on the 43 car for Matt Kimball. Of course, a local favorite coming into today's race with a lot of experience here coming into Bennington, New Hampshire. The air pressure was a little bit low on that car. It spun around off turn number 2 as the left rear came off the bead. He made contact with the wall, but they were able to get that car repaired in time for the start of today's race, and he has been presented on the grid for today's event. Well, the stage is set to go racing here at Monadnock Speedway. Let's go trackside to Dawn Mitchell, the Grand Marshal for today's event, to get the Duel at the Dog 200 underway.
On behalf of everyone at Whelen Engineering, drivers, start your engines!
strong here at Monadnock Speedway, getting ready to go here, the Duel in the Dog 200. So many storylines on the line here today. It starts 3 races of a series known as the Whelen Granite State Short Track Cup, where there's an additional bonus money of $15,000 for a championship fund that's put together over those 3 races. A lot of the drivers have their eye on that here today. It'll run at the New Hampshire Short Tracks here, then at Lee later on in the season here at the end of the month, and then later on in the summer at the Claremont Speedway. So Andy Austin, a little bit more on the line for these drivers as they get ready to roll out the new battle here today.
It's very incentivizing for someone who is coming into the NASCAR Modified Series and coming into the Whelen Series, where they don't run the entire slate of races, but they can do the New Hampshire races and get on a different platform and elevate their level and maybe take some of that point fund money and run some more races as part of what president and founder of JDV, Josh Minnick, calls the ladder system, and really allows the growth of the Modified Series, as Justin Bonsignor and Ron Silk will pace the field, 5 pace laps. And I know this in-person crowd is really looking forward to waving these drivers off. They've been here all afternoon, baking in the sun. I don't think that gets stated enough. It's 71 degrees here in Winchester, New Hampshire. They've been in the aluminum stands all afternoon. The sun's been beating down strong, and they're ready to see a great race.
Well, let's take a look at the starting lineup of how they will go to post here today for the Duel at the Dog 200, presented by JDV Productions. Justin Bonsignor, 4-time winner here at this racetrack. He is on the pole position. He'll line up alongside Ronnie Silk atop the championship point standings, and the winner from New Smyrna. Tyler Ripkema and Doug Kobe, the 2015 winner here at Monadnock, will make up row 2, and Nat Hirschman will start in 5th. Austin Beers, he's also tied at the top of the standings, but he won last time out at Richmond Raceway. He'll start 9th. Craig Lutz will be 10th. Anthony Nocella and John McKennedy, your top 12. Matt Kimball, we saw the problems that he had in practice earlier today, or qualifying that is, and that number 43, one of the local favorites, slated to start 16th today, along with Brian Roby, a former New Hampshire state track champion here at this racetrack. Andrew Kraus, he'll start 21st tonight in the 24 car. Dave Zapienza will roll off from the 25th position, having a good start to his season. And rounding out the field here today, Corey Plummer and Tim Conley for the starting lineup for today's event. The race analysis for today, 200 laps. There will be no tires that the teams can change on pit road, and so they'll have to conserve their equipment throughout this 50-mile event. For the weather here today in Winchester, New Hampshire, 69 degrees, partly cloudy, and a breezy day, and about 8-mile-per-hour wind gracing the Monadnock Speedway.
Off of turn number 4, Justin Bonsignor and Ronnie Silk will be pacing the field. This is the moment that those who are here in Winchester, New Hampshire have been waiting for all afternoon. These drivers, 29 strong, about ready to do battle for 200 laps. Someone will be the champion of the Duel of the Dog, and it's time to salute these drivers, starting with the turn number 3 grandstands. Ladies and gentlemen, on your feet, find your favorite driver. Get ready to salute these drivers as they get ready to do battle. Drivers, we salute you! It's a pause, or a moment for them to pause and take a quick look to the grandstands for the final time to watch those who will be cheering them on as they have to laser focus at this tight quarter mile for the next 200 laps, Joe.
Justin Bonsignor, looking for 3 in a row here at Monadnock Speedway. Will lead him around to the green flag alongside point leader Ronnie Silk to the outside. Off turn number 4, the green flag is out, and we're racing at Monadnock. Bonsignor will come across the line and lead the opening circuit. Top 3 single file, but Tyler Ripkema working the bottom lane underneath Eric Goodale off turn 2.
Top 3 drivers break away nicely into turn number 3. Bonsignor leads it. Silk really dived down. Settles down a bit, now runs into tire tracks. Bottom line opens up, and here comes car number 7 on the inside. Doug Kobe takes a stab.
Nearly getting together that time at the entrance of turn 3. 3 former First Series champions at the front of the field, leading the way here in the early stages. You'll notice the white and blue marks on the bottom of the racetrack. Those are new speed bumps that they put in the bottom of turn 3. They took that line away that the drivers used to run to the bottom, so they've got to make a bit of an adjustment off turns 3 and 4. We'll see how that becomes a factor as the race goes on.
Kobe and the Mayhew Tools, number 7, 6-time champion, rides right behind him. They have broken away nicely from the rest of the pack. Good side-by-side action further on. You see Jake Johnson getting down to the inside of Craig Lutz as they work their way into turn number 1. Johnson has the whole shot.
That's a battle for 8th and 9th. Craig Lutz to the outside of the 82. Inside is the 3 of Jake Johnson. Now, how about the 60 car of Matt Hirschman? He started 5th, but he's running 7th right now. He lost a couple of spots in that opening start, conserving and protecting his equipment in the early going.
The loudest ovation of the afternoon was for Matt Hirschman. It wasn't all positive. He certainly has drawn the emotion out of these fans here today. Whether you like him, whether you don't like him, you're making noise for Matt Hirschman, and certainly a big story after last season's Duel of the Dog and falling short just a little bit after contact with lap traffic. Back to the battle for the lead.
Doug Kobe being pretty aggressive here in the early couple of laps. He was able to get by Ron Silk, closes to the back bumper of Justin Bonsignor. Now, he was one of the first. You see the bumps as they came off turn number 4 with those speed humps. Looks like Kobe's not afraid to go on there and see if he can get that car to turn off turn 4.
Yeah, I wonder how much of a good long-term plan that is to be aggressive this early. You know, we talk about brakes. They do have 200 laps. If this race were, say, 400 laps, that might be a bigger issue. But they are really running aggressive here early on.
Now, Kobe's going to look a little bit high at the entrance of the turn. And he wasn't able to turn underneath Justin Bonsignor there, searching around. We've got one car, the 26, up and off the pace in turns 1 and 2. He's rolling once again, and we'll stay under the green flag. But the leader's back in turn 3.
It's very early in the season, but still to have a tie in the points lead after 2 races with Ron Silk and Austin Beers, currently neck and neck, both with 1 win apiece. Silk currently running second, but a good battle for the lead. Turn number 4.
Doug Kobe muscles his way underneath the 51 of Justin Bonsignor and takes over the race lead here, 13 laps in. Kobe to the point. And let's see if he can gap Justin Bonsignor just a little bit. Now, Ronnie Silk saw that move by Kobe. Look at him enter in a little bit higher in turn 3.
Ronnie Silk, former champion in the first couple of races of this year. I have seen him make moves that I haven't seen him make in years. Just very aggressive, a lot of speed in that race car, but some bold moves and veteran moves too. Cautiously aggressive, and they paid off time after time. Watching him in practice, he was the fastest in final practice here this afternoon, and certainly running strong here in the top 3. Maybe looking for the race to come to him after 15 laps thus far.
You look at the back half of the top 5. You've got a couple of other cars coming into frame. Among them is Eric Goodale in the 58, along with the 22 of Kyle Bonsignor. So Kyle Bonsignor in that car looking pretty good here in the early few laps. He's picked up 3 positions so far to move inside the top 5.
Now, last season, Matt Kimball, local star, qualified on the outside of the front row. He was number 2 in practice this afternoon, but after a qualifying incident was regulated to his first lap, which was a 15th place starting position, he has not been able to move forward. Matter of fact, he has dropped back outside of the top 20. So the local star having a tough go of it, as track position is a premium here this afternoon.
His goal was to try to get into the top 10 by the 100 lap mark, and he thought that if he did that, he'd have a shot, depending on how the race played out. Still watching this great battle between Justin Bonsignor and Ronnie Silk. The top 5 have been able to open up the gap from 7th on back. That's where the 60 car lives for Matt Hirschman. Here's a battle we were talking about just a moment ago. Sammy Ramu working the inside lane right behind these cars, which is the 79 of John McKennedy, last year's champion, and Jake Johnson. McKennedy's done a nice job so far today. This will put him inside the top 10 if he can make the pass on Johnson.
Ooh, they had nearly rubbed bars that time down the front straightaway. Johnson hung out just a little bit, and Ramu moves down to the inside, coming off a 4th place run in the inaugural Duel of the Dog in 2022. Still looking strong on the inside, and Jake Johnson just looking for a little room to race down low, but nobody's having anything of it right now.
Jake Johnson's been really impressive in his few modified starts. He'll be in this car all year except for 5 races where they'll have other drivers in the car. Brian Narducci ran it at Richmond the last time out. But that 3 car is really good with super late model races, and he's good on the long run, and modifieds is coming natural to him as well.
A testament to not only Jake Johnson, but the old Blue 3 team. It seems like no matter who they put in that car, it's going to be a contender. To your point, Brian Narducci, I believe he was rookie of the race in Richmond a couple of weeks sneaks back, and now there goes Johnson. Again, not afraid to push that button, too. Goes down low. It's not like he's rooting anybody out of the way, too. He's got racing room and not afraid to put that race car where it needs to be.
That was Melissa Fifield, who was off the pace to the inside of the front straightaway, rejoined, and we stay under the green flag now 26 laps into the duel at the dog. 200. Great action deeper in the field. And, this is a tight racetrack. It's a quarter-mile racetrack, but not both ends are the same. Turns 1 and 2, they're banking down at that end slightly different. It's 18 degrees, 16 degrees of banking off turns 3 and 4, and it's a little bit flatter coming off turn 4, so the drivers have to compromise where they want their car to be better.
And when you put 29 of these machines on a quarter-mile racetrack, many times, now getting strung out a little bit, there is not a lot of room for error at all, and plenty of action, plenty of good side-by-side racing. You saw McKennedy go down to the inside of Lutz and take that position on the front straightaway.
That was a pretty powerful move there to put him into the 9th position. He worked up off turn number 2, made that work, and McKennedy is a driver who thought that over the long run that their car would be quick. I had the opportunity before the race today to walk the racetrack with him and get his thoughts, and he felt that on a long run his car would be good. The caution flag is out for the first time here today. 30 laps into the duel at the dog 200. Tim Conley brings out the caution flag while Doug Coby shows the way at Monadnock.
And it's still something to behold, too, as a modified fan, seeing the Mystic Missile back on the racetrack as Connolly in the number 4, honoring the heritage of that race car and the race team of Bob Gambarino as the original owner. Connolly has taken over that team, and instead of changing the paint scheme, why would you do that? On NASCAR's oldest division, to continue to honor the heritage, and what better way for a longtime fan to connect with a race car in an age where paint schemes can change from race to race. It's really hard to identify your favorite driver. You think back in the old school days, the car looks the same every week in, week out. Let's go back to the replay here with car number 4.
Take a look at what happens off turn number 2. He's down in the bottom on those bumps and set the car sideways, came around and looped it. No real contact for the 4 of Tim Conley, and he continues out on the racetrack.
The only incident we've seen, aside from Connolly's incident in turn number 2, was Matt Kimball's qualifying run, where he actually cut down a left rear tire during qualifying. Looks like Connolly's, all 4 of his tires are still intact, so that wasn't the case there, but eerily similar spins in turn number 2 for those 2 drivers.
So pit road here at Monadnock Speedway is off behind turns 1 and 2. So the drivers will come down the front straightaway as pit road opens, go back that direction, get service for their cars if they need to, and come back out onto the speedway. No tires can be changed. We talked about that in the open of the broadcast here today, but you can take the opportunity to make some adjustments. And, I think Justin Bonsignor alluded to it when we heard his Mayhew Tool pole winning interview. He said, the racetrack is going to be pretty similar when we go racing as it was when we were out in practice in the middle of the afternoon. So from a setup standpoint, it didn't give me the impression that he thinks there's going to be a lot of adjusting needed with a race car like his that's running so smooth.
And there's a driver who knows what he's talking about. I mean, his stats certainly back it up. 3-time champion and a relatively, young driver for someone to stack up the amount of wins that he has in the relatively short amount of time, and the championships too. He is in the new breed of elite drivers when you throw in a 6-time champion like Doug Coby and former champion Ron Silk, and you think of how deep the Whelen Modified Series has become really over the last half dozen to a dozen years, a rebirth of this series, and it's really tough to get a top 10. You don't back into anything around here.
Field has been given the 1-to-go signal as we get ready to turn them loose here. There'll be 36 laps into the event when they take the green flag. Doug Coby on the front row. He was able to muscle the race lead away from Justin Bonsignor. 13 laps into the event. He'll start on the bottom lane of the racetrack. Bonsignor, the pole winner, up top as we are set for the green flag of the restart as they roll through turns 3 and 4. Top the flag stand. Green is shown, and Doug Coby, with help from Ronnie Silk behind, will get back out into the race lead. Now Silk draws alongside Bonsignor, challenging for second.
Inside line, the way to go. Ronnie Silk puts the left tires down. No, more than that. Half the race car on the inside, down on the speed bumps. So rattles himself just a little bit, but keeps the speed intact. And Ronnie Silk, no fear in turn number 3. He rides position number 2.
Bonsignor now third. Kyle Bonsignor, his cousin, running in the 4th position, and now Matt Hirschman has picked up a couple of spots on this restart. That'll move him inside the top 5. Big money Matt in the 60 car, back with the PD Motorsports machine. He has won just about everything you can win in modified racing.
That's the car that passed more than any other vehicles last year, or he was the guy that passed more than anybody else last year. Didn't come up with the victory, but slowly making his way towards the front. And you see him, he restarted in 7th, now up inside the top 5. Same with Kyle Bonsignor, too, coming off an 11th place run last year, up inside the top 5, right behind his cousin off of turn 4. They're still single file.
Deeper in the pack, we see the 06 and Sammy Raymond battling with Tyler Ripken. Now, Ripken has started in the 3rd position today. His car is backpedaled. He's running 9th right now, and if Raymond gets by him, it'll move him back into the 10th spot.
At the top of your screen or near the back, there's the number 6 of Woody Pitcat, too. Pitcat running right around 14th or 13th. And this year, that team stepping up into the Whelen Modified Racing Series for the very first time. And Stan Mertz shared on social media today that this is really a dream come true for him.
It really is. And Woody Pitcat and Stan Mertz in that 6 car, they won a track championship at the Thompson Speedway in Connecticut, where the Tour will visit twice this year. It was in 2015. They won the Sudoku Modified Championship there. And it's kind of a reuniting of the two teams, but, you know, he wanted to come together and have the opportunity to run with Stan Mertz and bring him a start in the Whelen Modified Tour as a car owner here today.
It's really cool to see, and on the inside, there's the most recent winner in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Series. Austin Beers goes down to the inside, and what a start that Beers has had to the season. He is the co-point leader with Ron Silk, and the number 64 dives down to the inside, running very solid in group number 1.
14th position right now for Austin Beers. Mired back in traffic. He'll put some moves on the inside of Tyler Ripkema as they try to make it work, but he gets into the speed bumps at the bottom of turn 3. We knew somebody was going to get crossed up by that, and that nearly cost Austin Beers more than just that one position.
No big change up in front. It continues to be Doug Kobe. He has about a 3-car length advantage over Ronnie Silk. Equal distance back to Justin Bonsignor. As again, the battle continues to be mid-pack with car number 24 down to the inside as they both go after Woody Pitcat in turn 2.
That is Andrew Krause in the 24, Anthony Cecily to the outside lane, Brian Roby in the 25 directly behind. Pitcat's got a lot of experience here, as does Brian Roby in that 25 machine. New Hampshire NASCAR state champion. He ran very well at the Claremont Speedway and here at Monadnock Speedway. Roby looking to have a strong run here today. That's back in 18th, but a very good battle.
It's been interesting to see Brian Roby and Woody Pitcat, drivers who have a lot of experience here at Monadnock, almost having to relearn a track they have thousands of laps on due to the fact that there's those speed bumps down to the inside, which traditionally you would be able to put your entire vehicle down there, and they haven't been able to do that today. They've had to change things up a bit.
They've had to enter the corner a little bit higher and change the dynamic a bit, and that has certainly worked to the favor of some, but you know, for Brian Roby, who's got a lot of laps around this racetrack, it's hard to curtail old habits when you've been so successful doing it one way for many years.
Doug Kobe continues to lead this race off of turn number 2. Then it's a long way back to Ronnie Silk as they go around the Mystic Missile. Good battle developing for spot number 2. It looked like Bonsignor was going to close in. Now stays about 2 car lengths off the back bumper as they're side by side. Well, they're not side by side. They're going around a lapped automobile in turn number 1.
That's Gary McDonald down to the bottom. The gap between Doug Kobe and Ron Silk. Oh, Matt Hirschman gets shoved on a line off turn number 2. He'll fall outside the top 10. They are freight training Hirschman, continuing to go down to the bottom. Pitcat gets by. Now Cecily works to the inside. Matt Hirschman in trouble, gives up a ton of track position.
And that was just 13 seconds of racing. That's how quickly things happen. That's how much ground you can lose. And they continue to freight train him on the inside. He's outside of the top 10. From inside the top 5 to running back in 16th on the leaderboard.
That's going to be hard to make up lost ground. Remember, without being able to change tires, he can't just all of a sudden step on the gas and gain a bunch of ground. It seems like Hirschman's got the car back underneath him once again, but the strategy has got to look a little bit different for the driver of car number 60. He's back to the 16th position. It wasn't long ago he was inside the top 5.
A driver who was the inaugural winner of the Granite State Championship that we're putting on again this year, where it's a 3-race series and $15,000, $16,000 in additional bonus money thanks to Whelen. The Granite State Cup And Hirschman, again, he's going to need the benefit of a caution flag because he is nearly a half a lap in arrears to leader Doug Kobe back in turn number 1.
Doug Kobe with a commanding 1.3-second lead here at Monadnock Speedway in the duel at the Dog 200.
I've been keeping an eye on Sammy Ramo in car number 06, right behind Kyle Bonsignor. This is the battle for spot number 4. 06 has been aggressive at times, was right on the back bumper, and now they run single file down the backstretch. They both have reeled in. Justin Bonsignor has now turned into a three-way battle for spot number 3, going back into turn 1. 51 still hangs onto it right now. Cousin Kyle right behind him, but Sammy Ramo, again, coming off a 4th-place run in the inaugural Duel of the Dog, backing it up here inside the top 5.
Ramu's been one of the best cars to move from mid-pack. He started 13th today, and he's inside the top 5, and there's still a lot more in that race car. You can tell that he's really able to put that race car anywhere he wants. Into turn number 3, I think he's just being cautious and riding here. Still quite a few laps away from halfway, and that's when the dynamic of the race begins to change.
And I would be a bit surprised to see John McKennedy stick his nose in there in the second half of the race. He is certainly letting the race come to him. If this is what he has for today, or this is all he has, then he might be regulated to the back half of the top 10. But something tells me, knowing McKennedy and knowing his driving style, he's fast in anything he races, especially on tight quarter miles like here at Monadnock, running just inside the top 10, currently 9th. 79 hasn't made too many waves here this afternoon, but something tells me that might change once the dynamic changes after lap 100.
Now, right ahead of John McKennedy is a 54 of Tommy Catalano. Now, Catalano told me before the race, he said, you know, this is traditionally not one of my favorite racetracks. I have a really tough time here, but Catalano in the 54 having a pretty decent run so far in the 8th spot.
And right behind Craig Lutz as they enter turn number 1, and there's nothing like changing an opinion of a racetrack by having a good run, finishing in the top 5 and getting that confidence. On a tight quarter mile, your brain is always basically on screech. I mean, you do not have any let up, any time to really breathe, and with drivers on the outside of you, inside of you, and having that spotter in your ear, it is a mentally draining race, deceptively draining over these 200 laps.
Catalano and that team, I think they were very optimistic coming into Richmond, nearly won the race a year ago, and I think their hopes were set high. They had mechanical problems that really relegated them to not being a factor throughout the race. But as we mentioned, right behind Craig Lutz having a solid 8th place run. Now, the 82 car of Craig Lutz, they changed some of their personnel behind the scene. They brought in some new ideas, some new folks to help elevate that program. That 82 car owned by Danny Watts. He's riding in the 7th position and looking for another victory here. He's already got a handful of wins on the tour.
Still early in the season, and Craig Lutz having a good run this afternoon in the 82. Further on back, a driver who's top 5 in points, J.B. Fortin. Fortin coming off a career best run at Richmond, having a hard time moving forward here this afternoon. I believe he is just outside the top 10. He actually has fallen back quite a little bit. He's down to 21st now on the racetrack, so certainly a struggling day for J.B. Fortin in car number 34 as they make their way around the racetrack. 75 laps go on the scoreboard this time. Your leader is midway down the front stretch into turn 1. That's Doug Kobe.
That battle with J.B. Fortin. He was centered around some controversy with that runner-up finish at Richmond. A little how-do-you-do's exchanged on pit road after the race with good, hard, short-track racing. He and his dad a multi-time track champion at the Riverhead Raceway, where we will run next 2 weeks from now. J.B. Fortin and that team very optimistic the way their season is starting with that runner-up here last week. Solid run, but today, not all that fast. He's pretty deep, as you mentioned, outside the top 20.
You know, it's a star in the making, too, with a driver like J.B. Fortin, too, and to have someone like Justin Bonsignor to take him under his wing in a way. I guess they live very, very close to each other. And after the race, Justin walked in and said, you know what, you got a fast race car, but here's how you want to close these events, and maybe you let off here, or you know, because it's going to come back to you. The way you race one person is the way they're going to race you back. And Justin, kind of in a big brother moment, said, you know what, you're a great guy, you're going to be fast, you've got a fast race car, but let's see if we can fine-tune that machine a little bit and help you close these races a little bit more.
There's a battle up towards the front of the field, the battle for third. Justin Bonsignor and Kyle Bonsignor, they have sat and started to ride a little bit. This is one of the strategies of this race. You want to get yourself in position. Typically, if you're Justin Bonsignor, you don't want to fall back too much. You want to be able to control the race, stay in the top 3, stay top 5 and be ready to save your equipment towards the end. You know, some crew chiefs, some drivers will say, I want to go out there and I want to set the pace and just control the way the race is going to play out. Others, like Phil Moran, his driver, Ron Silk, who rides in second, said, you know what, let him run. I'm going to ride, I'm going to save my equipment, save my gear. It pays at lap 200, not on lap 82.
It's a veteran thought, veteran moves, too. Young Sammy Ramo, too, looked like he wasn't sparing anything, leaving anything on the table. That last time off of turn number 2. Try the inside of Kyle Bonsignor. Nothing happened there. They're still single file as they work their way back into the corner.
It really seems to me that Sammy Ramo in that 06 is really just testing the waters of where his car will work. And I think that's going to really bode well for him as the race goes on. He enters in turn 1 a little bit higher than anybody else. He works off turn number 4 now to try to cut a little bit lower. I think those moves, what he's learning about his race car now while he rides inside the top 5, should he need them later in the race, are going to pay off.
And his spotter, Greg Emerson, does a great job, too, keeping him calm, too. You know, he's a driver who wants to go and go and go, but sometimes you need to pace yourself, to your point, in a 200-lap race on a quarter-mile track. But when you're young, you get a fast race car, you just want to go. I was going to mention, hadn't seen Kyle Bonsignor gets a little bit out of shape, and Ramo goes down to the inside. He's going to make that pass in turn number 1.
And he gets the job done. So Sammy Ramo now right behind Justin Bonsignor on screen was able to get into the 4th position and by the 22 of Kyle Bonsignor. So now this will be the real test for Sammy Ramo of whether or not he's got a faster race car and can hunt down Justin Bonsignor. Here's another good battle deeper in the field. The 32 of Tyler Ripcom up. This is a battle for 13th as he works underneath Anthony Nocella.
Yeah, single file going into turn number 3. They'll exit the corner. Woody Pitcat right behind them. And I think back to the original JDV production in 2018. Both of those drivers a big part of that race at the White Mountain Motorsports Park. I believe Pitcat ended up picking up the victory in that one. It might have even been the 92. I know it was a very close finish. So a lot of laps between those two drivers. And then you throw the other driver involved in that battle as well. It's a good 3-way scramble off the corner.
Woody Pitcat able to get underneath Anthony Nocella. He'll bring Anthony Cecily right along with him in the number 19. So Pitcat, he said, I'm probably going to run top 15 for the early part of the race. And if I can work my way inside the top 10, it'll be a good day for a brand new race team that is not used to running races 200 laps in distance. They're used to running laps that are about 80 laps in distance with the opportunity to change tires on a completely different tire compound. So this is a whole new game for Stan Mertz and this number 6 team, the little engine that could, the little team that could. And they have done great things together, but, Pitcat was at least, he said, a top 10 run for us is a win with a brand new race team.
I think if either of them are going to run at this level, they need each other. They certainly complement each other, and they're going to excel together, having a strong run. And they're beating Matt Hirschman right now. Matt's still struggling. Of course, he had that issue about 25 laps ago on the outside. Oh, trouble for Nocella.
Got into the wall off turn 2. He's got a right rear tire flat, and the caution flag is out. 95 laps in. So Anthony Nocella in trouble. Contact off turn number 2. A right rear tire is down. Doug Kobe leads the way under the second caution flag here at Monadnock.
He has been the class of the field since, I believe, lap number 13. Car number 7 has basically run unchallenged. And when you have a driver like Ron Silk behind you, it's that's quite the feat to have Ron not at your back bumper nipping at you, but that might be all part of the strategy as well. To your point, Joe, middle stages of the race, just finding that groove, and they'll have to refine the groove after having a chance to breathe a little bit and talk with the crew chief and also with the spotter on who's working what where. But a strong race by the usual suspects, the drivers that you're going to expect to run up front. No big surprises here. We have both Bonsignors in the top 5. Also Sammy Ramo, who is not necessarily a dark horse. He finished 4th last year. That's where he's at right now. And, of course, 6-time Kobe and Ron Silk, who has been, Silk is, a permanent front runner, a perpetual front runner. But this year, again, watching the first 2 races on Flow, seeing that race car make the moves that it had mid-race, it's pretty amazing.
Get a look at what happened to Anthony Nocella off turn number 2 where he caught the outside wall. He's about ready to climb out of that race car with that right rear tire damage on the number 92 that brought us under the second caution. He was racing right behind Matt Hirschman, and it looked like the car just took off. Something must have broken in the rear suspension of it, and it just sent it into the wall. There was no contact. Andrew Kraus was trying to get away from him to the inside lane, and they had slight contact, but it appeared as though something broke in the number 92. You saw the car come unsettled directly before it shot. Watch it right there. The car just takes off and heads to the outside wall. It was a pretty hard hit to the right side.
It was, and I didn't see whether the 24 actually bumped tires with him, but that might be something they want to look at least on the right rear for the Andrew Kraus car, because that was, I mean, again, heavy contact. They're going about 90 miles an hour at that point, midway down the backstretch. Any contact's big contact.
So pit road is still closed at the moment while work continues here for the number 92 of Anthony Cecily. They allow the teams to pull up alongside the right of the drivers who are not pitting, and then they're released at the start-finish line to be able to go down pit road. And with that car being paused right where it is, where they're trying to get it off the racetrack, that's going to prevent any cars from coming down pit road. We're going to cross lap 100 here. The halfway bonus will go to Doug Kobe from Joss Deans in the 70 York car, so he will be able to pick up the extra bonus here today under the second caution of the day. It's been mostly green flag action. The first caution came out 30 laps in, and it's been Doug Kobe who's been really dominant all day so far as we now move into the second half of today's race.
Which might have a different complexion than the first half. Let's take Ronnie Silk again for an example. On the initial start and the restart as well, looked very aggressive to see where his car was at for a couple of laps and said, okay, well, my car can do this. I know what it can do when it's really payoff time. So and since then has certainly got into a comfort mode about 4 car lengths behind race leader Doug Kobe. Justin Bonsignor, same idea for him. He was an early leader. Sammy Ramo, too. I'm sure the driver with the least amount of experience inside the top 5. That's not to say that he doesn't, he's not a stranger to the top 5. Again, 4th place finish last year. Certainly under the tutelage of spotter Greg Emerson, who's been doing it for well over 20 years, more than, Ramos certainly been driving race cars. Can certainly, you can't really put a premium on the value of a veteran spotter for a young driver to kind of talk them off the hill when they realize they have a fast race car, they can win, but there's still 98 laps left in the race, and you're like, well, I got to just kind of simmer down for a little bit and wait till go time.
So pit road is still closed at the moment. You see the teams that are working to the outside lane. Those are the drivers that want to come down pit road, and no surprise to see Matt Hirschman second in line in that 60 car as a driver that wants to come down for service. He was 15th at the time of the caution period as they come back up onto the main straightaway here at Monadnock Speedway, just waiting for everything to be in order before pit road is open, and it is open now. So Matt Hirschman in the 60 car, he was up to the top 5 before a little bit of a jingle sent him to the back of the pack. They'll snake their way down the hill and toward the pit area of where everybody is parked. Now Hirschman is pitted all the way down at the end to driver's left where his hauler is. And that's where the team will go to work. And look at that dollar sign on his pit board for Big Money Matt.
Yeah, that's incentive too. And as you can see, they are making a major chassis adjustment on that vehicle. And it's not like he's having a bad race. He essentially had a bad lap. He got a little out of shape going into turn number 3 on one lap, and then was freight train, lost 10 positions by the next couple of laps. So within the space of a minute, he went from 5th down to 15th, wasn't able to regain the ground, but was able to take that time and sit in 15th and realize a caution flag might come, that this situation might pop up again. So analyze the vehicle, diagnose what needs to be done, and make a quick pit stop and get back on the racetrack like he has.
Looked like Matt Hirschman in that 60 team put a little bit of air in the left rear tire along with the chassis adjustment. Car must be a little bit too loose for Matt Hirschman, so he'll tighten it up a bit and get him out on track. So Hirschman in the 60. Now, what can he do with it, right? We have seen Matt Hirschman drive from the back to the front, but there are many cars that are out on track, and still quite a few on the lead lap will allow timing and scoring to circulate around, but it looks like somewhere north of 20 cars still on the lead lap, and that's a big thing because if it was, 15 cars, 10 cars, because Doug Kobe was out there lapping a whole bunch of drivers, it'd be a different thing, but it doesn't seem like that's the case here today.
It's a testament, again, to the depth of the field of the Whelen Modified Series, where they're just, no one lucks into a top 10. Even an slightly off day will net you a 13th or 14th place run. And you still think you had an okay day, but there are just that many competitive cars that are going to run ahead of you. And if this were a division where maybe there were 5 or 6 cars that could win, sure, he's going to make that move. It's going to be tough here in this race with 94 laps to go.
Getting ready to get back under the green flag here at the Duel of the Dog at Monadnock Speedway. It's race 3 for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. Doug Coby has been dominant so far, and he will lead the field back to the green flag. This time behind him is Justin Bonsignor. Sammy Remu in 4th dives to the inside as here they come off turn number 2. Bonsignor now bidding for the race lead.
Cautiously aggressive car number 51 puts all of the tires down on the speed bumps, pulling off a turn number 4. It doesn't work, but he stays right with the leader, and here comes Ronnie Silk in 3rd.
Silk following in the tire tracks of 2 champions in front of him who are going for the race lead. Past the halfway point, they have gone to the afterburners, and Doug Coby leads away, protects the bottom, and now opens up the advantage off turn 2. Bonsignor starting to lose ground. Now Ronnie Silk becoming a factor.
10 championships among the top 3 as they work their way into turn number 2 this time, dipping the tires down on the speed bumps. It's Doug Coby who continues to lead in the Tommy Baldwin number 7.
John McKennedy picking up a spot under the restart. He starts to move forward. He's up to 6th now.
While he's up to 6, further on back, keeping another eye on Matt Hirschman, who's having a hard time making his way to the front. He'll go to the inside of J.B. Fortin midway down the backstretch as we watch Jake Johnson take a spot away on the inside from Tommy Catalano back into turn number 1.
Austin Beers, Anthony Cecily trying to do the same thing as Catalano was in 8th before. The caution flag has slid back a little bit after we've gone under the green flag, so Beers gets through. Catalano now shuffled outside the top 10. You talked about Matt Hirschman. He's picked up 3 positions since we dropped the green flag. He's moving forward, but isn't fast enough.
Further on up in the pack, the 79 of John McKennedy begins to come alive to the inside of Kyle Bonsignor off of turn number 2. As Matt Hirschman again picks off Brian Roby, continuing to march through the field. Here comes the 60.
Long way to go, though. 115 laps into the race. Andrew Krause directly ahead. Look at Hirschman really working it off turn number 2, trying to cut underneath Andrew Krause and see if he can pick up another spot.
And remember, he's doing this without the benefit of new tires. This is all adjustment. And also maybe driving with a chip on his shoulder, too. And it's really working for him as they peel off a 2. He's going to get a big head of steam down the backstretch.
He did a nice job at snapping the car sideways off turn 2 that time, and it set up this move right here. Puts all 4 wheels under the rumble strip, but he makes contact with Andrew Krause. Krause goes spinning down to the inside, and the caution flag comes out after contact with Matt Hirschman.
So yellow flag, I believe, number 3 on lap number 118. Trouble for Andrew Krause after contact with car number 60, bringing out the yellow. Further on up in the pack, Kyle Bonsignor battling with John McKennedy. So new driver inside the top 5. Car 79, there were 2 other battles. I mean, the great thing about this race is there are 3 or 4 things that you could be watching at once. McKennedy taking over this spot from Bonsignor, and Jake Johnson, to his credit, too, running a different race than he ran last year. And really, not saying this is really the only sample that we have compared to last year, but Johnson letting the race come to him a lot more than, say, he was last year. Although, is he making a pit stop?
It looks like it. He's going to pull to the outside lane here and see if he can come down pit road and make some adjustments with this machine. So we'll keep an eye on that. A couple other cars going to pull up to pit. Among them, the 3 of Jake Johnson, Andrew Krause, Anthony Cecily, Brian Roby. Let's get a look at the replay. Watch the 60 car off turn number 4 here as they come down to the bottom. Contact between he and the 24 of Andrew Krause. Krause goes spinning down to the inside lane of the racetrack. They were battling for 17th. Here's a good angle for it. Watch Hirschman. He goes all the way to the bottom. He's over the speed humps with at least 2, if not 4 tires, trying to find a lane underneath the 24 of Andrew Krause when contact was made.
Yeah, and prior to the speed bumps being there, that might be a different pass, and Hirschman making that move down to the inside. He had a really good head of steam running through 3 and 4, pulls off the corner, and there's the contact that brings out the yellow. Surprised that Jake Johnson's hitting pit road. He was certainly, as I was saying before, having a conservative race, but making some consistent moves on the inside, slowly moving up, but apparently that wasn't enough for the old blue number 3. He's on pit road making an adjustment. Let's watch it again.
Another look at it. Watch Hirschman in the 60. He cuts down to the inside as Krause's car gets back to the accelerator. You see it bouncing there over the speed humps. They come into contact, and Krause goes sliding down to the inside lane. Ever so slight on the contact between the two cars, but it's narrow off turn 4. And, you know, that's where that racetrack flattens up a little bit. We talked about that earlier in the broadcast. It's different off turn 4. You can see how flat it is as they come off the corner. And that's where cars tend to step out when you get back to the accelerator.
Look at the closing rate on this one. It's down to a couple of feet. He looks low. He actually has clear sailing off of turn 4 as the other car slides up a little bit. And then there's the contact.
You see how those speed humps unsettle the 60 car of Matt Hirschman.
Well, it gives us something to talk about. Good stuff, though, between the 60 and the 24. Again, lap number 122 in this race, getting down to go time with Doug Coby continuing to lead this race. Justin Bonsignor in second. Ronnie Silk in third. The top three haven't changed for quite some time, but I think they might with the defending champion John McKennedy now up inside the top 5. Car 79, they said that, yes, the championship's awesome, but we want race wins. We're concentrating more on winning races in 2023, and now he's up inside the top 5, one step closer to that. Kyle Bonsignor in car number 22 has been inside the top 5 for about 80% of this race, just outside. Shout to Craig Lutz, too, running inside the top 8.
Ready for the green flag to turn him loose one more time. 124 laps will go up on the scoreboard when Doug Coby sees green. He's off and running. Bonsignor to the outside lane now has a challenge from Ron Silk.
Off of turn number 2, Coby all by himself. Ramo goes from the outside to the inside after John McKennedy gets by. McKennedy wants more. Battle for third in turn number 1.
McKennedy's car has come to life here in the late going. His car owner, Tim Pine, told me before the race that this car is going to be good on the long run. Don't worry about us, and he has proved to do that. He was back deep in the pack, started 12th, fell back a little bit, has rallied in.
John McKennedy down into turn number 3 has completely altered the way he is driving this race car. 79 now on the podium. Justin Bonsignor back to 4th spot, and he's being trailed by Sammy Ramo up a turn number 2. Meanwhile, side by side, Austin Beers goes down to the inside of Kyle Bonsignor. This race taking on a different dynamic with a lot of the drivers having a hard time who are inside the middle portion of the top 10 staying there. Austin Beers being one of those drivers. You saw John McKennedy make the moves about 20 laps ago, and they're single file pretty much throughout the top 10. Also, look at Woody Pitcat in car number 6 beginning to work up in that Stan Merckx team. Doug Coby continues to lead this race. It is looking back now at the Craig Lutz ride. Craig Lutz down the back straightaway, being trailed by car number 19. And the 32 right there with Woody Pitcat. Oh, Matt Hirschman down to the inside of another race car, down to the low side as they battle with Patrick Emmerling in car number 07. This is for 13th. And again, Matt Hirschman outside of the top 20. About 20 laps ago, continues to march through the field. Jake Johnson in car number 3, still moving up as well with J.B. Fortin. Two of the young stars of this division. Meanwhile, back up in front, you see Doug Coby stretching out this gap. It's about 6 car lengths and an equal distance back to Justin Bonsignor. Ramo now rides in 5th, McKennedy in 4th, and they trail the top 3 who have been that way or some formation of it for the majority of this race. Now in heavy lap traffic, like a pro, goes to the outside. Doug Coby now on the outside of the Mystic Missile. So there's a great shot of the Mystic Missile and the Tommy Baldwin number 7 running side by side, even though it's not for position. It was a cool photo moment. Here goes Ron Silk to the outside as they work their way down the back straightaway. They've opened up a nice gap on Justin Bonsignor, who tries the inside but has a mirror full of John McKennedy down the front straightaway. Car number 79, both working the outside as they go around the lap traffic. McKennedy ready to pounce down the backstretch.
McKennedy able to take advantage of the lap traffic and close right in as McKennedy now on the back bumper of Justin Bonsignor, who led from the pole the first 13 laps and hasn't been able to get back up there since. But McKennedy charging hard, looking high in turn 3, trying to set up a pass as they come from turn 4.
59 laps to go, now 58 on the scoreboard, 142 laps in the books, and it continues to be Doug Coby on a Saturday afternoon cruise. Ron Silk not letting him out of his sights, though. And now McKennedy, as the battle for third picks up, as now Sammy Ramo is involved. Caution flag is up.
Caution number 4 of the day. A car is stopped at the end of the front straightaway, headed down into turn number 1, but it brings us under the caution flag. 143 laps in, and the caution out for the 19 of Anthony Cecily, who's got right front damage on the side of that modified. But up front, as it's been much of the afternoon today, Doug Coby continues to show the way at Monadnock Speedway.
Eric Goodale has done a nice job moving up slowly as well. Goodale, you have Austin Beers running in 7th. Kyle Bonsignor, who is running in the top 5 for a good chunk of this race, is now back to spot number 8. Craig Lutz, Tyler Ripkema, and just outside the top 10, Woody Pitcats in car number 6. Again, driver knows his way around Monadnock Speedway. But both teams have elevated their game, or both individuals have elevated their game to come together. This is a dream for his car owner today. Just living the dream.
Yeah, he really is, and what a great, beautiful day it has been here in Winchester, New Hampshire, home of the Monadnock Speedway, quarter-mile racetrack, high banks, and this starts the stretch of 5 short track races in a row for the Whelen Modified Tour. I guess technically they're all short track races, but for the most part, you look at the smallest tracks on the tour. Monadnock Speedway. 2 weeks from now, we go to Riverhead. We go back to the Seekonk Speedway out in Massachusetts in June, back to Riverhead and to the Wall Stadium in New Jersey. So 5 racetracks that are very tight bullring style racetracks, and this is the series that we're in right now over the next couple of races, and they're going to have to get used to this style of racing.
This is a great time, a great day to build momentum too. You come out of here with a positive feeling in your team and in your stomach about your ability. You pull off something that you didn't think you could do. That's going to carry into Riverhead next week. And then if you have success there, you knock down a couple of great finishes. And, say you started the season off a little slow. You're down in the point standings. Let's take Craig Lutz, for example, currently number 21 in the point standings. Having a tough start to the season, but a couple of really good runs can get you back up there. And as you chase the crown for 2023.
Now, Doug Coby leads the way. His car owner, Tommy Baldwin, has taken a recent position as an advisor with Rick Ware Racing in the NASCAR Cup Series, and he was here at the racetrack today. He said, I'm still going to be participating with all of my modified races. This is where my passion is, and it's interesting because he's taken on a role that is really working on the battle off the racetrack. Earlier this week, Brad Keselowski, car owner RFK Racing, where Rick Ware Racing and Tommy Baldwin are aligned technically, they talked a lot about winning the race in the back office, the right engineers, the right crew chiefs, the folks behind the scenes that make these cars go fast. Tommy Baldwin has inserted himself into that level and into that role at the Cup Series level, and you see the performance that his team has brought to the Whelen Modified Tour. You put him with a multi-time champion like Doug Coby. You knew it was going to be an ingredient for success. They were strong last year, and now together for the full season here in 2023, another dominant performance here today continues to build upon what this team is doing.
Not sure if Tommy had anything to do with Ryan Newman being picked up by Rick Ware Racing, because Ryan Newman, of course, has competed a number of times on the Whelen Modified Tour in the Tommy Baldwin equipment. But yeah, I mean, that's really what elevated the Jack Roush, the now RFK team back in the day, is winning the races off of the racetrack, and how that carries into today. Looks like we're ready for a restart again. Ron Silk's going to try the outside. Doug Coby has led this one for the majority of the event. Bonsignor will try from the inside of row number 2 with John McKennedy in spot 4.
Great green flag is out, and here is Doug Coby on the bottom, but this time Ronnie Silk hangs tough in the outside lane. Coby not able to break free. 3 wide as Bonsignor looks to the bottom for a moment, but now it's Coby and Silk for the top spot.
That is a cool veteran move on Justin Bonsignor's part. He could have easily forced the issue, rolled out of the throttle, racing hard, but racing with respect. Down the back straightaway, they're still side by side for the lead.
The top 4 All-Series champions leading the way here at Monadnock Speedway. Look at this battle, though. Ronnie Silk working the outside lane. Nobody has been able to stick the outside all day long. Silk saw it on the wheel off turn number 2, continues the battle in turn 3.
And you know who thinks that's a great idea? Well, how about McKennedy? As soon as I say that, though, he was going to go double foul with Ronnie Silk, thought twice about it, tucked back onto the inside, and now he's side by side with the 16, who's a bit freight trained inside the top 5.
Look at those white gloves on Ron Silk's number 16. He is sawing on that wheel. He is elbows up, getting after it, but he moves back to 4th. And I was going to say when that caution flag came out that Ronnie Silk was keeping pace with Doug Coby, and now Justin Bonsignor. He has gone to the afterburners. 45 laps to go, and Bonsignor is there.
I love the gamesmanship of the drivers who have raced the top 5 because they each have run about 3 or 4 different mindsets within this 155-lap race. Race hard, roll out. It looks like that you might be done. You're going to regulate yourself to 4th or 5th, but that's not the case for the 51, and now they're side by side for 3rd. There goes McKennedy on the outside, Ronnie Silk down low.
Silk's got one of the best race cars at this point in the event, but he got shuffled to the high side on that restart, and he lost a couple of spots. Now he's trying to gain him back. Underneath John McKennedy. McKennedy, he's a tough driver to get around. He holds the outside lane, but Silk continues to fight down low.
And while that happens, the top 2 break away just a little bit as they stack up behind him. There's Sammy Ramo in car number 06. He's going to try his hand down to the inside, and he's bringing Austin Beers with him.
Beers, who's rallied back inside the top 6 now. A good recovery for him. Now, Ronnie Silk has gotten by John McKennedy. Can he start to reel in the top 2 of Doug Coby and Justin Bonsignor while fending off John McKennedy and Sammy Ramu?
And will he have the benefit of a caution flag? He'll certainly have the benefit of lap traffic. We still have a ton of race cars on this track, the quarter-mile Monadnock Speedway. Your leaders, though, with a whole gap of clear sailing ahead of them. Ronnie Silk catches the lap traffic in a very, very unfortunate place in turn number 3, but deals with it very well.
Up front, open racetrack for the moment. They've got about a half a lap before they catch more lap traffic, and Doug Coby has got a pretty healthy advantage over Justin Bonsignor, who's over a half a second behind. Coby smooth and steady. There you see the gap. It's now a full second. That time by once they cleared that lap traffic, so Coby is starting to drive away from Bonsignor.
As we keep an eye further on back in the pack, you look at Kyle Bonsignor. There's Austin Beers in car number 64, and Matt Hirschman continues to make his way towards the front as well, but still not a factor in the lead of this race. Right now, he is regulated back outside the top 5, currently position number 9 on the racetrack, but that's a great recovery from outside the top 20.
Yeah, it really is. Here's a look at Matt Hirschman. We were continuing to keep an eye on him. Remember, he made that pit stop under that caution, and it seemed to work for him, so he's charging up to the front now. He's still turning pretty quick lap times, as you mentioned, Andy. He's really starting to gain ground now on the 22 of Kyle Bonsignor, but when you look at the stopwatch, Matt Hirschman's got one of the fastest cars on track. The only problem is he's way back in the 9th spot.
Yeah, he's going to need the benefit of a few caution flags to get himself closer to the front of the pack. If it plays out over the last 35 laps like this, going to be a tough, a tall order for car number 60 as he trails Kyle Bonsignor again going into the corner, and bobbles just a little bit in the corner, but still aggressive down to the inside, putting his left side tires on the speed bumps off of 4.
Doug Coby is an experienced veteran at dealing with lap traffic. He's going to have to be careful here. Last year, lap traffic became a big factor in why Matt Hirschman didn't win the race and Justin Bonsignor did. And so that's on the mind of these top 2. Heavy traffic ahead for Doug Coby. Tim Conley is there. He's right in the path of where Coby wanted to run, so he'll go to the outside lane and see if he can get by cleanly into turn 1.
Separation is about 10 car lengths, equal distance back to Ronnie Silk, who's trying to fight off John McKennedy. They are single file on the outside of a couple of lap cars. McKennedy catches the lap number 26 as Ronnie Silk will really drive away off of corner number 4.
There's Justin Bonsignor riding in 2nd. Clear racetrack ahead. You see the battle just for the 5th spot. Sammy Ramu battling with Austin Beers as they go back into turn 3 and 4. Boy, it doesn't matter. That 16 car of Ronnie Silk continues to saw on the wheel. Here's that great battle. 2 young drivers, talented drivers. And the 06 is Sammy Ramu having a fantastic day. And Austin Beers taking a race car that might not have been that great today in the early stages and seeing if you can make a top 5 out of it.
Another step in a star in the making. Austin Beers breaking through for the first time in Richmond a couple of weeks ago. He is the co-point leader coming into this race. Trending right now, not as the point leader. Ronnie Silk would be ahead of him. But still, on a day where he isn't dominant, maybe a 6th, maybe a 9th or 10th place race car has found a way to move himself up a couple of positions higher than that, letting the race come to him. Another great day. Could be a 3 top 10s in a row to start the year for Austin Beers.
We're only 3 races in today, but you know what? You've got to be able to be successful at a variety of racetracks. New Smyrna, half mile, high banks. You go to Richmond, big D-shaped oval with a lot of speed in it. Now you go to a small quarter-mile track like Monadnock. To be able to be consistent across those 3 racetracks shows that you've got a team that's willing to make the adjustments and set you up properly for the track at hand, and that's what it's going to take to win a championship. That's why these guys on the screen, Justin Bonsignore, Ronnie Silk, and John McKennedy, always find themselves in the top 5 at the end. And in this series, that's what it takes to win a championship. You can't have a 15th place or a 20th place finish and expect to be able to win the championship. The competition is just too steep and too difficult.
If you get freight trained for 1 lap, you watch the white gloves of Ronnie Silk, and you know he's not giving up. Little contact that time in turn number 4, near contact, as Silk had caught Bonsignore. Now this is about 10 laps after being hung out to dry. McKennedy getting by. It looked like he was going to fall out of the top 10. Ron Silk, no quit in car number 16, goes after the 51 as they come up on lap traffic.
Lap traffic a factor to the inside lane. They get by that pretty easily. So Bonsignore now looks in the rearview mirror, sees full of the 16 of Ronnie Silk, who continues to have a quick race car, but it's more that Justin's car is starting to go away. He has now lost touch with the race leader. He's 1.3 seconds behind Doug Kobe, falling into the clutches of Ronnie Silk, who's just trying to gain ground to get back up to that runner-up spot.
I wonder if John McKennedy went a little too quickly, too. His car was really strong for the middle stages of this race. Now appears to be, if he isn't going to make a run here in the final 18 laps of this race, seems to be content to ride right where he is. As soon as I say that, though, he digs out of the inside of Ron Silk in turn 4.
Well, Ronnie Silk not afraid to use a chrome horn here on Justin Bonsignore. He wants to get by him, and that's what upset the car off turn 2 and off turn 4 and allowed McKennedy to find some daylight there. But Silk, he knows he's got a good race car, and you see a little bit of frustration. That's typically not what you see out of Ronnie Silk, but to see him using that chrome horn a little bit tells you that he really wants to get after it and see if he can at least get second here today.
When championships matter and they're decided by points, and one position that you give up in May comes back to haunt you at the end of the year, you want to get what you can get when you can get it, and that goes for every position. Doesn't mean if you're battling for the lead or you're battling for 5th. If you can get those extra points, you take them. And that's why he was taking it from one of his chief rivals, Justin Bonsignore, but that didn't happen that time. Matter of fact, he's under attack from John McKennedy down the backstretch.
Moves to the inside and makes the pass. Does McKennedy open up the lane, though, for Ronnie Silk to retaliate? No, he drives away, and we're under now 14 laps to go. And on top of the championship standings, remember we documented at the start of the race, this is race 1 of 3 for the Whelen Granite State Short Track Cup. Additional bonus money on the line. These positions not only count for that championship as well as the series championship, the year-long title for the Whelen Modified Tour.
And Whelen putting an extra $15,000, $16,000 in point fund money with these specific JDV events. And yes, 33% of the championship decided today. Woody Pitcat is going down a lap to leader Doug Kobe, but he's had a great run in that number 6. They have to be proud of what they have accomplished here this afternoon. Certainly overachieving in that car.
Kobe goes by to the outside lane. He's got a bit of clean racetrack ahead. Matt Kimball is up ahead of him. He's got 3 lap cars between he and the second place car of Justin Bonsignore, but Bonsignore looks in the rearview mirror, and quickly closing in on him is John McKennedy, while Ronnie Silk has fallen back from that battle. So McKennedy's car continues to stay fast at the end of this one. Look at him look high getting into turn number 3 this time. See if he can gain some more ground on Justin Bonsignore.
we're starting to get into the long run phase of a race, and also, you know, it's go time. 10 laps to go, 9 laps to go, and to your point earlier, John McKennedy is going to have a good long run car, so the car is coming to him at the right time with 9 laps to go. He's on the back bumper of the 3-time champion off of turn number 2.
McKennedy has won in super modifieds at this racetrack. He's won in modified racing at this racetrack. No surprise to see him fast on a long run. You see Justin Bonsignore's car steps out from underneath him off the turn. Here's McKennedy setting up high off turn 2. Cuts underneath down the back straightaway. McKennedy looking for second.
That is such a textbook pass and so calculated. That is just racing 101. Take notes, everybody. John McKennedy off of turn number 2. Put some distance between himself and Justin Bonsignore, with Ronnie Silk now back in the picture.
Yeah, Silk starting to close back into the back bumper of Justin Bonsignore. Now side by side in front of John McKennedy for second. Woody Pitkat is able to duck down to the bottom as he will now get lapped by McKennedy. Pitkat up the hill a little bit off turn 2. McKennedy had to check up as the battle for third and fourth continues to rage on. We'll see if Ronnie Silk uses that chrome horn again here, as now inside of 4 laps to go in the duel at the Dog 200.
This race could be over in less than a minute. Doug Coby's your leader. Ronnie Silk gets a little out of shape down the backstretch, enters turn number 3, gets a good bite. Will there be contact this time off of 4? A little bit off of turn number 2, turn 4, and they are now caught behind Woody Pitkat off of 2.
Silk very aggressive here, trying to get that podium finish. Now he's got Pitkat directly ahead. Pitkat's a veteran. Can he get out of the way for this battle for third? Side by side for third, 2 laps to go. Here comes Ronnie Silk battling with Justin Bonsignore.
The crowd is on their feet. What a Saturday afternoon battle that they are watching. Off of turn number 4, Ronnie Silk has the spot. Justin Bonsignore makes some contact.
One time around, white flag is out, and Doug Coby works his way up turn number 4. He will take the checkered flag in the duel at the Dog 200 at Monadnock Speedway, capturing his first win of the season. Ronnie Silk will come across and win that battle for third, right behind the 79 of John McKennedy. And Bonsignore, he's just going to head right to the pit area at the end of this one. What a battle as they ended this one here at Monadnock in a fantastic 200 laps.
The duel at the Dog champion for 2023 is a driver who had them covered since nearly the beginning of the race. The Mayhew Tools, sponsored 7 New York, of Doug Coby, who came into this race number 4 in the point standings. And certainly, I mean, the points are going to be so tight with Ronnie Silk finishing in second. Coby was inside the top 5, and now Austin Beers had a good day too. Cannot wait to see how things tighten up here in race number 3 on the season, race number 1 of the Granite State Cup.
So Doug Coby, the winner, did a donut down there in turn 1. He'll stop at the start-finish line and look to take a victory lap here at Monadnock Speedway, as he is the winner at the duel at the Dog 200, winning the first race in the Whelen Granite State Short Track Cup. We'll salute the fans here in Monadnock, and really had a dominating race. I mean, he took over the race lead on the 13th lap. Never looked back, held off the hard-charging Justin Bonsignore, Ronnie Silk, and at the end, John McKennedy, who finished second here today. But Doug Coby, Tommy Baldwin, and that entire 7 New York team continues to show strength. And they go to a racetrack next time, Riverhead Raceway, where they won in the 2022 season. So things looking up for the 7 New York team, Mayhew Tools and Doug Coby.
Such a dominating performance, and now a champion in the duel at the Dog. So your 2 champions, Justin Bonsignore last year, and now Doug Coby this year. The cream rising to the top, and you see JDV champion down there in Victory Lane.
Now, Doug Coby has made his way down to Victory Lane here at Monadnock Speedway, and he is the winner. John McKennedy, Ron Silk, Austin Beers, and Justin Bonsignore ended up inside the top 5. Sammy Ramu was 6th, solid run for him. Eric Goodale 7th, 8th was Kyle Bonsignore. Matt Hirschman ended up 9th, and Patrick Emmerling came home in the 10th position. Great crowd on hand for this one here today. Couldn't ask for anything more here in what turned out to be a picture-perfect, beautiful 70-degree day here at Monadnock Speedway. And Doug Coby in that 7 New York just able to dominate throughout the day today. He's got the Whelen Engineering lights atop the car, and is about ready to climb out of that race car here today in Victory Lane. We'll hear from Jesse Punch with our Victory Lane interview. As Doug Kobe gets set to come out of the race car, let's send it down trackside to Victory Lane and Jesse Punch.
And here he is now, your winner at Monadnock Speedway, Doug Kobe. Doug, you told me before the race this is the most difficult racetrack to modifieds race on. So how'd you get it done today?
I'm a quarter midget kid, man, and Silver City's opening their season today, a little tight little bull ring, and that's where you start when you're 5-6 years old and learn how to get around these quarter miles. And I'll tell you what, I've won at some big racetracks, but it's the little ones that mean the most and really make me think of my roots and where I started. And these quarter mile tracks are so tough. Had a dominant car tonight with the Mayhew Tool 7. Tommy did some great. Tommy brought me some adjustments for practice because we weren't happy last year. We got to try some stuff and went back to his first setup. You know, he's always right, he's usually right. Man, this thing was just awesome. I had to fend those guys off on the restarts, and Justin was pretty nice to me that one or two times he got under me and probably thought it was a little too early to push the issues. So we race each other hard, and sometimes we kind of know when it's time to push and when it's not. And I knew with 50 to go that he wasn't going to lift the next time he got under me, and we just had enough car to drive away and clear the lap cars. And second win at Monadnock. It's a great facility. It's so technical. It's so hard. I wish everybody could drive a modified around here just to see what you have to do to get these things to last for 200 laps, pacing yourself. My spotter, Jake Dorff, driver, raced here before, knows this speedway, and giving me lap times just so that I could pace myself for the first 130 laps of this race and go racing at the end. So this is a great team effort. Got Mayhew Tools in Victory Lane in 2023, and hopefully we get a lot more. We've led a lot of races this year, and before I go, I just want to thank Josh, JDV Productions, Whelen for the Granite State Cup. This is a big deal for short trackers to have a guy like Josh step up and put these races together with the VIP experience that he brings everybody into the pits, and really cool trophies. Josh is one of the only guys that knows that modified guys, we race for trophies, and I want to bring one of these home to my dogs. So it's overall just a cool experience and a cool event, and hope everybody supports us at his next race at Lee in 2 weeks.
Well, enjoy taking home that beautiful bulldog. Congratulations, Doug.
Thanks, Jess.
That's Doug Kobe, your winner here today, his first of the season, and the first winner here in the Granite State Short Track Cup.
Thanks for everything. Thank you.
So Doug Kobe able to get the win here today at Monadnock Speedway. He will take home that special Bulldog Trophy as the winner of the Duel of the Dog 200 here at Monadnock. A great dominating run. It becomes his second victory here at this racetrack and joins Justin Bonsignor as the only other two-time or multi-time winner here at Monadnock Speedway. So a great start for Kobe and Tommy Baldwin, that entire team, Andy, able to get the victory here today and build some momentum as they roll into the season and the Whelen Granite State Short Track Cup.
It was great to see him get out of the race car, but when he saw the trophy, his face really lit up. Like he said, hey, we're modified guys. We run for trophies. These are unique trophies that are custom designed. You're not going to find these anywhere else in the world, specifically through JDV Productions. And you saw President and founder Josh Vanetta congratulating Doug Kobe, the winner, as the champion of the Duel at the Dog 2023.
McKennedy did a nice job to come home second today. Ronnie Silk third. We saw that battle in the late going as Justin Bonsignor and Ronnie Silk came together, and so we'll keep an eye on that. They both finished inside the top 5. It's been a great day here in Monadnock as Doug Kobe and this entire team will continue to celebrate their victory here in the Duel of the Dog 200. We thank you for joining us here at Monadnock Speedway, the High Banks, and the Duel of the Dog 200. Is out, and we're racing at Monadnock.